Hello, everyone. My name is Arthur Govan. I am the Partnership Coordinator at the Next Street Driving School. I'm here today to present our Insuring a New Teen Driver talk. That's this week's Detour. We're going to be talking to Tanya Bird, um, who is with our partners at Smith Brothers, and she's going to come on and talk about. We're going to go everything from what kind of coverage you should have to what to do in an accident. That's going to be something that we're going to highlight today a little bit and kind of add on a little bit more. We sent out an email leading up to this that has, it's really for minor accidents generally, but what to do if you're in a fender bender, and kind of because it's a scary time. A lot of people panic, so we have a little worksheet of just kind of, all right, these are the checklist of things to think about when I get into an accident. How do I deal with this? And because it's obviously a tense situation. So if you didn't get that email or you didn't see it, check your inbox and download that. And yeah, we're going to get started now. One really quick thing that I wanted to show everyone. I'm going to show it up on here. Let me just pull up a tab really quick. Okay. So that should pop up. Yeah. Bam. So on here on our website, we have a really awesome page that you can go to, thenextstreet.com/insurance. And if you go here, you're going to see this page, and it has a lot of information, including a free parent ebook that has a lot of stuff on there for after your student gets their license and what that means, what guidelines they have to follow, everything from what the laws are to, what are some tips to keep your new driver safe. So on this page, if you go all the way down to Insuring a New Teen Driver and you click on insurance discounts, then it will bring you to this page, which is a way that you can sign up for a free consultation with actually Tanya Bird, who's going to be on here. And she will answer any of your questions and kind of go through some of the things with you about, it's not a sales thing. It's more just to give you information and answer your questions and be there for you. So check that out on our webpage. It's a really nice thing, and I definitely could have used this. My parents certainly didn't know what to do when I first got my license with insurance. So check this out. So on that note, I'm actually going to bring on Tanya is right here. So Tanya, if you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. And Arthur, thank you so much for having me. I love the hair. You look super cool.
Thank you.
Great to be with you guys. As Arthur said, my name is Tanya Bird, and I am with Smith Brothers Insurance Agency. Smith Brothers has been around since the early 70s, and we are very proud of our relationship with the Next Street. I specialize in the personal line side, so that is your auto insurance, your home insurance, your additional liability insurance. And I've been doing this about 23 years in one form or another. So it is certainly something that I do enjoy doing. And of course, one of my favorite things about my job is working with really cool people like the people at the Next Street. And of course, helping people learn about their coverages. So I'm hoping that that's what we can do here this afternoon, that if you have any questions, that I can help you learn something new.
That's a perfect intro. I'm having a little trouble getting, so Tanya might not be able to see me, just as a warning for this. I'm having a little trouble getting the Zoom going on here for me, so apologies for that. But everyone can see both of us. We'll just have to do it kind of the old-fashioned way. So, so I'm just going to go through some of the we have talked before, obviously, and
Hmm.
I just want to go through some of the frequently asked questions because a lot of the times,
Yeah.
for anyone who has maybe seen that we've done these before, um, just know that the reason why we do them with the frequency we do them is because with driver's ed, people are in the door and then out the door when they're done. And then there's a
Hmm.
whole new group of people that come in. So we always want to be providing, as much information to our new customers as our existing customers. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, let's just get in a little bit to some of the basics.
Sure.
I think we can all kind of guess where this is going. What coverage should I have if I have a new? So if I'm a parent, right, and my
Hmm.
my son or daughter just got their license, how much coverage should they have? What should I
Hmm.
be insuring them for?
Of course. So, first of all, you have to have liability. And then, depending on the age of the vehicle and the shape of the vehicle and all that stuff, you can determine if you need physical damage on the car. And that's going to be like the comprehensive and collision, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the liability is concerned, the state minimum is 25,000 per person, 50,000 per accident, and then 25,000 for property damage. And basically, that means if you are in an accident and you are at fault and you cause injuries, the injuries in that other vehicle, your policy would only pay out about $50,000, and not one person could have more than 25,000. So at Smith Brothers, we certainly suggest that you have higher limits than that, and we start out at a minimum of 250,000 per person, 500,000 per accident, and then 100,000 for property damage. And then, of course, we might want to talk about a liability umbrella on top of that because we want to make sure that we're protecting everything that you own today and then, of course, everything you want to own one day.
Of course, yeah. So what should? Sorry, I think I got a little bit louder there. What
That's
should
okay.
um, a parent do in that situation? So a lot of the times we get questions about, do I add them to my insurance? Do we
Hmm.
start
Okay.
their own insurance? What? So a teen gets their license. First thing you do, how do you add them?
Sure. So once they're licensed, the good thing is with most companies, although it's still good to let them know when your teen has a permit,
Mm-hmm.
most companies are fine until they have their license. So once they have their license, then you would certainly add them to your policy as a driver in the household. There
So
is
you
the
don't
option, of
need to
course.
let them know before, like a lot, like you said, a
It's
lot of the time with the permits,
it's
because
good to tell them. It's
okay,
definitely good to let them know, but most companies don't add them until they have their license. But still, you want to let them know at least. So then that way the agent can let you know if they need to be on the policy or not. But once they're licensed, then definitely they'd get added to the policy. And you do have some options there, of course. You can add them to the least expensive way, of course, is if you add them to your policy. And then if you have more drivers in your household than cars, then the young driver would be added as an occasional operator. So if there's three drivers, two cars, the young driver is occasional. If you have three drivers, three cars, then of course, whether or not they do drive on a regular basis, the insurance company will put them on as a regular operator. Um, they're going to have a lot more savings being on your policy because you already have had insurance for a while, or the parents' policy. I don't know who I'm speaking to directly, who's
yeah.
listening, but it's going to be a less expensive to be on the parents' policy
Mm-hmm.
because the parents have already had insurance. The insurance company already knows about them. They're already rating on that household. And then of course there's probably multi-policy discounts that they have access to if they have home or renters, umbrella, stuff like that. A young driver, it's not impossible for them to get insurance by themselves, but if a young driver has a brand new car or just a car and they're brand new to driving and they have no multi policy discounts, unfortunately, it's going to be really high for them. So the least expensive way is to go on parents' policy and to not have your own car right away until you've got a little experience under your belt.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that I recommend too. Just from a parent side, have them drive the family car for a little bit.
Right?
They're probably not going to need it all
We
the
all have done
time.
it.
So
Right.
um, getting them their own car, I know it's exciting. That's something that every
Mm-hmm.
teen wants, but give them a little period at the beginning to kind of ease them into it before
Right.
you go full
Right.
nosedive into
Exactly.
it. Yeah, so in that kind of vein, so you said with a newer car, obviously, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive with a teen driver.
Hmm.
Do you have what else kind of determines the price of insurance? For when you're adding a teen
Yeah.
on.
Sure. So, just in general, some of the things that determine the cost of the car insurance would be, of course, how many drivers are in the household, and then what are their driving records, any accidents, any violations, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies do rate according to location. So whether a zip code or county, however it is set up, so in Connecticut, you may have a little bit higher rates in Hartford than you might have in Vernon. And
Okay.
then, of course, the type of car. If you have a really old car, you might be able to do just liability only, and there may be a savings there. But if you have a four-door car and you do have, full coverage on it, that might be a little less expensive than the two-door convertible Mustang. So of course the type of car um, certainly comes into play. And then how the car is used. How far do you drive? Is it just a couple of miles to school or to work, or, are you driving 10, 15 miles each way? And then, there's discounts, multi-policy, as we mentioned, and then, of course, grades. And there's some other discounts if you want me to start talking about
Yeah,
those.
please go right into the discounts. You're right
I
here.
always want to get into the
Yeah, no,
discounts,
yeah. Any way that we can save these people money is huge. So, you know,
Exactly. So, of course, right now, the main thing is Next Street. You're already doing one of the best things with working with Next Street, which is, certainly one of our preferred relationships, because we know that the instructors at Next Street, they're awesome. And we know that they're going to do everything possible to set you up for success. Another thing, another discount is, would be for grades. And, some companies are, some companies are 3.0, and then other companies give discounts, are they top 10%, top 20%, every A and B counts. So definitely you want to keep those grades up there. A few companies that we have access to have a discount called Teen Smart. And what that is it's another little safety course that's online. It's about 6 to 8 hours, and you have 60 days to do it. And I know that maybe being in another class online isn't the most fun thing right now, but usually it's a significant savings of a couple $100s.
yeah,
Um, and then a lot of companies have like a telematics. And what I mean by that, in the old day, I say old days, but that was like 5 years ago. It used to be something you would plug into your car, but now most apps, most phones have an app. So whether it's like a smart path, that's one with Hanover. They're one of our most common companies for our young drivers. And Smart Path is an app on your phone that it doesn't come back to the insurance company. I don't see any information, but the parent does. So it's kind of like the insurance companies. What is that called? Life 360. It's kind of like something like
yeah.
that. Like the parents get the information, how the kid is driving, or young driver is driving. And then it allows the parent to give the driver some, hopefully productive, useful feedback. So just knowing that the parent is keeping an eye on the driving habits, the company allows for a discount. And then other companies have them like, I think you may have heard with Safeco or Liberty Mutual, the Right Track device or a teledrive. I
Mm-hmm.
think the first company to really put it out there was Progressive with their. I just lost it. I think there's the snapshot. I may have just messed that up, but
Mm-hmm.
um, so that's one of the
Yeah,
huge things
snapshot
too.
sounds
Is
right.
yeah, yeah. And what they do, the ones with the apps that do report to the company, like usually you get a discount right away of like 5 or 10, well, maybe not 10%, but you usually get a discount of about 5% right away just for participating. And then as the time goes on, whether it's a 90-day program or however long, they look at things like the distance. How far are you driving? Nighttime driving. If are you driving between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m.? Because a lot of usually not good things are happening during that time.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of hard braking? Is there a lot of rapid acceleration? Stuff like that. Um,
So
and
those
then just
things are
in
big. Like
yeah, those are
those
the main things
tracking things. Yeah.
they do, and the better you are at that, the more your discount will go up. So, so
Um,
those are my discounts.
yeah, that I mean, there's a lot of ways to save. So if you
There
missed any
are,
of that,
yes.
or you need a refresher, rewind and check that out because there's a lot of ways to save that a lot of people don't necessarily take advantage of. So
Right, right.
this is good advice here. We have a couple of questions I just wanted to get
Okay,
to in our chat.
sure.
Um, so it's a little bit long, but I'm gonna read you pretty much what the situation is.
Okay.
So basically, this person's son just got their license. He's 20 years old. He's going to out of state college in 2 weeks. He doesn't have his own car, and we have not let him use our car by himself yet. Should we add him to our insurance or not bother until he comes home next summer?
Hmm.
And then when he goes away to school, and if he uses someone else's car at school, is he under the car owner's insurance or should he be?
Oh, Arthur, you know the answer to
Yeah.
that one.
Yep.
Okay,
But
so
yeah, go ahead.
so actually, because your home is his primary home, then you would need to add him to your policy. You want to have him on there. Now, there is a pretty significant discount for a student away if he is 100 miles or more away. Some companies it's 50 miles, but there is a discount for your student, your young driver, being away at school and not having a vehicle there with him. So but you definitely would still need to have him on your policy. But as far as when he's at school, if he borrows a friend's car, the insurance actually follows the car, not the driver. So the car's insurance would be the one that would pay if he had an accident. So we always try to suggest don't let your friends borrow your car because it's your policy. Now, if he does have an accident in his friend's car and the injuries that are caused are higher than what his friend's insurance is, then your policy would pay as an extra policy, like an excess over the original policy. But the insurance does follow the car.
Yeah. So that brings us to another point. Don't let your friends drive your car. Drive your own car. And it sounds like best advice is get your kid insured or get your new driver insured under your policy well and take advantage of the discounts that are offered for most
Hmm.
for anyone who's a certain amount away. So take advantage of those. And then we have another question that was interesting.
Okay.
What about a new adult driver and insurance?
Hmm.
So over a certain age, basically, how long can you be on your parents' insurance, and then when do you have to get your own insurance? How does that exactly work, or is it
Mm.
based more on where you live?
Well, it really is based on yes, if you live with your parents and their name is on the car, you can be added as so that's a key too,
Mm-hmm.
is the car registered in your name? If
Okay.
you, regardless of the age, if you're living with someone else and you're driving their car, whether it's your parents or really ideally be your parents or another family member, then you could be listed as a driver on their policy. Once you have a vehicle registered in your name, regardless of your age, that's when you need to be on the policy and have your own insurance.
Okay, so it's
So
all
there's,
about how the car is registered. It's all about, like you said
right.
before, insurance follows the vehicle.
Right. And so it's not necessarily an age where you have to be off your parents' policy or an age where because you're this age you
You
have to be
should
on
be.
their
Yeah.
policy. It's just a matter of the younger you are, the less it's going to be less expensive if you're on a parent's policy. Um and even a brand new driver, it's going to be less expensive, even into your 20s or whatever. If it's your first time having your license and your first time getting a car, it may cost a little bit more. Um, but there's no real age of because you're at this age, you have to, still be on mom and dad's, or because you're this age, you have to come off of mom and dad's.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think that also kind of answers this other question that we had,
Okay.
um, where basically their son is 21, moving back home after college. He has his license, but does not have a car. We would like him to be able to use one of our cars, but if we want him on our insurance, is that putting my husband and I at risk if he gets into an accident? Would our insurance rates go up? What we don't have, they don't have any accidents, but it sounds like if they're on the
Hmm.
policy and they're driving the car,
Hmm.
insurance rates generally go up. Is that
Yeah, they
correct?
could. And unfortunately, if he does have an accident, then yes, it could, depending on how long you've had your policy, if you have any claims-free discounts, anything like that. But if he's living in your home and doesn't have his own insurance policy on another car, then your company would want him listed as a driver. So he would need to be on your policy. And I wish I had better news, but yes, if he does have an accident, it could make your rates increase. Now, with some companies, that accident may follow the driver. So, when he later on moves off of your policy, maybe that would then go down.
Mm-hmm.
And then others, because it's a claim the company paid out, it could stay on there for about 5 years.
So think long and hard about that decision, and you know, kind of again take advantage of some of these discounts that are available. Adding someone to your policy might seem daunting, but there's a lot of ways that you can
Yeah.
limit the
Yeah.
pain, especially with a student with a driver who is a bit older. 21.
Yeah, that's going to be a little better.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
know that teenagers are obviously the most expensive to insure because they have a higher rate
Hmm.
of getting into
They
accidents.
crash into things.
Yeah, yeah. So, them being a little bit older might limit the damage a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we had a one little question, but I think that again we touched on it. But why does a student need to be on the insurance if they're if they're not driving at all when attending college? And I think the
Yep.
answer was more just take advantage of the things that come up where you can get discounts if they're a certain distance away. And then also, I mean,
Hmm.
kids are home from break all the time, so
Yeah, they could use your car when they're home. And like I explained in the one situation, like say, your young driver's friend, say they have really low liability limits. And so your young driver drives their car, they cause an accident. Now, your policy would pay over and above what that other policy is paying. So even though your child is at school, because of, really you're still their primary home, so really, you could be sued for what they do, I think, until they're 25. I could be wrong about that, but for a few years anyway, you still could be sued for something that they do. So that's why it's best to have them on your insurance. So then that way you're protected
yeah,
if something does come back to you.
that's a really good point, and that's definitely something that I didn't think about. That it's them being on your insurance is just safer in the long run because
Yeah,
chances are they're going to borrow their friend's car once or twice, and
right,
if something happens, you're at fault, basically.
right.
Um, all right,
I need
so
a happy question.
I know. I'm sorry to kind of. Well, as soon as we got off the discounts, it went right to
Oh,
the
I
to
know.
the.
Let's remind them. So you get discounts for grades.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
yeah,
just
um, yeah, telematics, but
right, 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 right.
uh, so before we get into this next part, which is not as happy, kind of remaining on that, um, what are some of the what are some tips that you would give a new driver, when they're out on the road, and
Hmm.
just what are some general tips for new drivers that you can give?
Yeah, sure. One is, try not to let other people influence your decisions. And what I mean, like today I was on 84, driving on 84, and someone came up really fast behind me. And then they were, it was busy, it was in the morning. So they're, going in and out of traffic. And, it can make you a little nervous, but try not to let people like that influence your decisions. Just you do you and follow the rules of the road. Don't speed up because they're coming up fast, or don't slam on your brakes to make them mad. Just, try to not let them influence. Also, if you have someone waving you on, but you're not quite sure if you can make it, if you have time, just let them go and, you do what makes, what you're comfortable with doing. And, trust, only trust your eyes. If you're in doubt, don't do it. Don't, turn when you don't feel, right about turning, anything like that. A good a good tip too is to try to plan ahead. Know the route you're going to take and then give yourself plenty of time to get there. So you don't have to worry about speeding, you're not anxious because you're running late. And then, some people when they start driving are a little nervous of left turns. So if you plan ahead and you know where you're going, maybe you can try to do the route that is more right turns than left turns.
Yeah.
So, and then, try to just stay calm. One of the things I found is that some people, a common mistake is, sometimes people get tunnel vision. They're so focused so much on like the vehicle in front of them that they miss something, maybe an animal or pedestrian or something like that. So, just try to stay calm. Don't let your friends distract you. Don't let your cell phone distract you. And just be you, do what makes you comfortable.
Yeah, and it's always when you're a new driver, better safe than sorry.
For sure. Yeah.
Just do the safe thing. um,
Yes.
one big tip that I always give to people after they get their license and everything is, have a when you're driving and you're a safe driver.
Hmm.
At least me, I'm very, I'm always thinking defensively and, what I can do in case if there's anything that's going to happen, any sort of
Hmm.
emergency. And so, having kind of that awareness of your surroundings of if
Right.
I need to
Yeah.
pull off the side, can I make it? Can I
Hmm.
pull to the right? What can I do if there's something that
Right.
happens? So just always have that awareness, which brings us kind of into this next part of we sent out again before this show today. We sent out an email that had on there a very good list of things to keep in mind if you were ever to get into an accident. So if you could
Okay.
just kind of break down, what should you do in an accident? A lot of new drivers, they're bound to get into at least one fender bender when they're young. It happens. So, what should you do? What actions should you take?
Yeah. The first thing, is please try to stay calm. It's an upsetting situation, and I've said on every call that, or every time we've done this, that,
Mm-hmm.
back in February, I had my first accident and in several years, and I did panic just a little bit. Luckily I was by myself, nobody got hurt. But it was, it shakes you up a little bit. But try your hardest to stay calm and call the police, call 911. You can of course get out of the car. You want to, make sure that the other person is okay. But go ahead and get the police involved. Um, I wouldn't give a statement to the other driver. I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This was my fault," stuff like that. Save that for the police. I mean, try to be polite. If the other person is not being polite, go sit in your car and wait for the police there. But there's no reason to give a statement to the other person. Do that for the police. Um, Also, while you've got your smartphone right there, take pictures. Take plenty of pictures of what happened. You would be surprised at how many times someone would say, "Oh, this was my fault." And then when they leave the scene and then you call insurance companies, the person's like, "That wasn't my fault." So take pictures, get the police report, and then even on your phone, take notes. Never a bad idea to do that. And you want to get their information. Try to, get a picture if they let you of their driver's license. Get a picture if you can of their license plate. If they bring out their insurance card, try to get everything that you can. And then you and your parents should call your insurance agent when you get home and you're safe.
Yes. So that does, I have a couple questions on that. So
Yeah. Does that
when,
match your sheet?
no, that's great. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have asked to see the sheet.
No, please. No, that's exactly what it is. It's based on what you have said in the past. So
Whew.
a couple of things. When you are exchanging information,
Mm-hmm.
are there any things, because I know, you don't want to either take fault for something or kind of talk too much to the person,
Mm-hmm.
because it can end up kind of coming back around to bite
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any information, you said a couple things, but is there any information that you would maybe abstain from giving them, or what specifically should you give them, in detail?
So it's okay to share like your insurance card.
Mhm.
Like the information is, going to be on the police report. So, as long as you've called the police, you both all drivers involved are going to end up having access to the address, driver's license number, insurance companies and stuff like that. So then that way the claims can be turned in appropriately. So it's okay, if you're not calling the police, I wouldn't share anything.
So that's
Um,
that's the key is, I've
don't
seen situations where, the police maybe weren't called, and it's like, oh yeah, just like give me your info, let's exchange information
you
and then
should
we'll deal with it in the future, which
you should always, always call the police. I mean, when you're much older and you can deal with someone backing into you on your own,
sure.
that's different. Take their insurance information. But right now, you do not need to have an accident and your parents aren't there and then you don't, oh my goodness. No, call the police. So then that way they have the story, they're going to put the story down on the police report, and then all insurance companies involved can have that information and pay the claims accordingly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And um, again, another like tip that I would give, because I've just seen situations like this, is just be aware of your surroundings too. Where
Hmm.
if this happens, say in a gas station, there's a very good chance that they're going to have a camera there. So just be aware of that
Right.
and know that if someone tries
Right.
to maybe take action against you or say it's your fault or whatever, then you just be aware of what's around you, and
Yeah,
pay
absolutely.
attention, because you
Hmm.
know not everyone is that fortunate to have a camera
Hmm.
see it, but if you can, take advantage of that.
Exactly.
So when you call your insurance,
Hmm.
what generally does that call end up being like? I know generally
Yeah.
if it's a new driver or a teen, then they would have their parents do it. But if they have to call themselves, what does that talk usually kind of sound like?
Yeah, the insurance companies, the person that takes the claim over the phone, and you can even, do it online. A lot of times it's going to be the same exact questions. It's just someone over the phone is normally going to be a little bit sweeter, but they
Right.
usually, it's just a little more personal. But they usually have the same questions. So really, they're going to ask you, where did it happen? What happened? When it happened? Where did it happen? Do you have the other person's information? So they're really just going to ask you the basics, the information that you collected at the accident. And then what they'll do is they'll assign you a claim number, and then they'll assign you a claims representative or an adjuster. And then that adjuster can get your picture, any pictures that you took, you can forward them and get more specific into the coverages and stuff. But really, it's a pretty simple call of, what happened? Was anybody hurt? If so, of course, they're going to take, doctor's information too if you had to go to the doctor. But it's not a tough call. They're normally very they're aware that you went through something, that could be a bit traumatic, and they normally handle you with care. and go through the, just the basic questions of what happened. And then they try to get the car scheduled to be repaired. Or if you don't have the car, if it's not drivable, they, get the information of where the car's at or what towing company took it. So then that way they can help, locate that car and get you taken care of.
Yeah, that's great. So really it's more of just kind of an informational exchange. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing too crazy. And that's why you said
Yeah.
before, though, wait till you get home, and you're safe
Yeah.
before you make this call. Don't make this call while you're sitting waiting to get your car towed out of there or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. You don't have to call your agent from the scene.
Yeah, that's good because it's a tough situation there. And now with any sort of if when injuries are when there's any injuries from either
Mm-hmm.
the other driver or you,
Mm-hmm.
how does the protocol change? If you can't do the typical kind of exchange your information, and it's not like too severe of an accident because obviously that's a
Mm-hmm.
total different situation, but
Yeah.
if they seem maybe they are hurt,
Mm-hmm.
how did things change?
So if the person was hurt, then you probably don't have all of their information, but the police probably somehow got it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they went through the person's car, after the person was transported to the hospital. So it may be frustrating to have to wait a couple of days, but you may just need to wait a couple of days for the police report
Okay.
to come in. So once that police report has come in, the information will be there. And then you would know if they were at fault, what their insurance company is to call and make the claim. Or if you were at fault, then of course, then their family has the information to reach out and make the claim.
That's good to know because you never know with everything. You can have your checklist, you could know what to do, and then if something
Hmm.
like that happens, it kind of
Yeah,
changes the whole thing. Throws a
it
wrench in
does. It does.
it. So any other advice that you would give about what to do in an accident and just thoughts in general about how to deal with it, if especially a lot of the times people are emotional and upset in that
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
other than just not talking to them, maybe how to deal with people sometimes in those situations.
Right. Sometimes, sometimes, unfortunately, some people can be unreasonable. And so if that's the case, go ahead and sit back in your car and you can say, I don't want to be rude. I see you're upset. I'm just going to wait in my car. Yesterday, I had a grown person hit in the park gas station by another grown person,
Mm-hmm.
and the person that actually caused the accident caused a scene because our client wanted to call the police. So my client just hid in her car. She's like, I'm waiting here until the police come, because the
Not
other lady
dealing with
was,
it.
yeah, yeah. And if you can, I know we say stay calm, but if you can, if parents are close enough, or a family member or a good friend, if
Mm-hmm.
there's someone you trust that's close enough that could get to you, call the police, but, go ahead and call someone to try to be there with you if you can. I know that's not always possible. Or once you take pictures, call that person, so then that way they're there, FaceTime, whatever, so they're with you to help you stay focused and stay calm, you know
Yeah, get some
um
support. Get someone there
yeah,
who's on your
yeah.
side.
And you know what you could even do is this information, or that sheet that you sent out, take a picture of it and save that on your phone in your notes. Because if you have a claim and then you're like, you know, scatterbrained because you're upset, at least if you could think, oh, wait, I have a list somewhere of what to do, then you can
Mm-hmm.
refer back to the list of, what you should do in the event of an accident. Because it's certainly easy to forget things.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and okay, so we have one other quick question.
Okay.
Um, are there discounts for safety? Oh, this is an interesting one. So there's a lot of new cars now with things like lane keeping
Hmm.
assist and
Hmm.
emergency braking sensors, all that stuff. Are there any discounts for having those technologies within your car?
Absolutely. Those aren't something that with most of our companies we have to add separately. They come up automatically with the VIN. Once we put in the VIN to our, we put in your VIN in our rating system, it pulls all of those safety features up. So yes, the safety features certainly help out.
Oh, that's really good to hear. So
Mm-hmm.
safe for your
Mm-hmm.
car. That's why you get a safe car. Um,
Yeah.
because the companies know what cars are generally more safe than other cars, and they are way more willing to give discounts on those cars that are safe. So I mean, it's
Exactly. We have had some people now, for normally, if you have an older car and you trade it in for a newer car, then yes, it may be more expensive to fix. So normally the premium might go up a little bit. But we have certainly had times where it didn't go up much at all. And the person was like, I don't understand. And we're like, well, there's so many safety features in that car. Or, other car was 5 years old, and this, they added a new car and the premium went down a little bit. And they're like, wait, this car's more expensive. And we're like, yeah, but it's safer.
yeah,
So,
right. So
so,
it's
those certainly do count.
better to insure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's pretty much where we're gonna start wrapping it up here.
Okay.
We don't have any other questions that I see. We have some repeats, but nothing that we haven't kind of answered. Um, yeah, I know that we talked a little bit about some tips that you would give new drivers, but in general, do you have any kind of final thoughts before we end this today?
Yeah. My most, I think the biggest tip, and I know I said it, so I'm repeating myself,
No, please.
but truly, just do what you're comfortable with. If you're not uncomfortable with something, please don't let anybody else influence your decisions. Just do what you're comfortable with. If it takes you a little bit longer to get somewhere, that's perfectly fine. If your friend doesn't like it, they can have someone else drive them next time. But just make sure that be safe and do you be comfortable with what do what you're comfortable doing.
Perfect. As always, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on. So knowledgeable, and we will be having you on in probably a couple months. We'll have you back on. But if you just are
Absolutely.
joining us now, please take a look back at, watch this over. We talked a lot about accidents today, which something that we wanted to highlight and talk about. Unfortunately, that's a thing that many teen drivers are going to have to deal with, or new drivers in general. So it's good to know your information, but we talked about a lot of things here. So if you missed any of it, the video will be immediately up on our Facebook and YouTube right after this. In a couple weeks, I'm hoping to do a webinar on how to purchase, what to look for when you're purchasing a new car. So that kind of ties into today. Very exciting. We'll be having our partners from Shaker Auto Group on with us. So that's going to be really fun. Look out for that. Other than that, we're live most Thursdays at 4 with something that is always pertains to the young drivers that we service. So follow us on our social medias. It's at the next street on everything. Our TikTok is a really great resource, and we are, we have blown up. We've gone viral, as the kids say. So, check those videos out. We're really proud of our TikTok and our YouTube channels in particular. So, thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I think that'll be it for today.
All right.
One last thing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us or message us on any social media. And also, check out that page that I showed at the beginning of this webinar about getting the free consultation with Tanya about some of the questions that you might have when you first get started with having to go on insurance. And we do offer a discount if you go through the next street. So thank you all so
Yes.
much, and have a great weekend.